super cloudy outside. I don't even know what I'm doing with my hair. It must be time for a brand new Writer's Life vlog. Hello there, writerly friend. Welcome back to the Writer's Life vlog, where I, your host, Mr. Kirin, also known as Kirin, share with you their writing process, what I've been up to this week, and I offer a little bit of writing advice or inspiration along the way. And on the second half of this video, I'm going to be talking about the idea of juggling two stories at the same time. Can it be done? Is this just witchcraft? Let's find out. What was I up to this week? Well, this week, basically like every other week before, I did tons of editing on secret projects that I can't tell you about. But if you would like to find that, you can pledge to my Patreon page and check out my super duper secret Patreon vlogs. But anyhow, I did that and I finally did some writing. Not tons of writing, I did like 2 small writing sessions in the middle of the week a few days back. If you follow me on Twitter, I always talk about my writing, my word counts and my writing process there all the time. It was nice, it was actually nice getting back into writing. This is not like a big project that I'm like working on like en masse. They like back to back. I'm working on a bit of a smaller project, some nice, I don't want to say a nice casual story, but it's basically a nice casual story that I can write on and off in between working between other projects, because I tend to give myself really big projects. Like right now I have a serialized novel that I'm updating monthly called The Mercenary Hearts. You may have heard of it. Anyhow, and when you have a big project like that, it's really hard to take the time to write something else or another big project, because release windows are really tight, especially when February is coming up and February has like 1 week less than every other month. I know that's not how math works, but please just follow me up on this. And I wanted to write something a little bit more casual, a little bit more, I don't even want to say lighthearted, because you know me, you know my stories. It's going to head down into the path of sorrow and despair eventually. It's just going to start out a little bit brighter than most of my other stories. So I've been writing on that, I've been working on it. I wrote 2 small sessions on 2 different days. On day 1, I achieved 2,326 words, and on day 2, I achieved 2,522 words, to a grand total of 4,857 words. Really small writing sessions. I'm not trying to brag. The only reason why I show these stats is because people keep asking me to do so, so I thought that I would. Please don't consider these as standards by any means or reason necessary. I'm a crazy writer, and I didn't start like this. I got here over a long period of practice and learning to disable all of those little walls in my mind that basically just slow you down. All those little walls that tell you that you're not good enough, that this story is gonna suck. All of those things, all of those really bad thoughts, push them out. Focus on the writing, it's all that matters. Anyhow, how's this project going? It's been really fun. It's, again, it's one of those things where like, I can't wait to start sharing it, mostly because when I do, the most astute of you out there will realize, oh, I see what Max is doing with this. I see. Max is being a really silly dongle with this. Yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a sillier, lighthearted story. I kind of feel like I need that after like 4 or 5 months of writing Mercenary Hearts. Not to say Mercenary Hearts is not a happy story. It's not. But it's not like a really, like, it's not like heartbreaking. At least not yet. We'll get there eventually. Wink. So I've been editing, I finally got back into writing. I'm really excited to be doing more writing in the near future. But now let's move over to the second half of this video. I recently got a question. I got it on one of my other YouTube videos, and I thought, you know what, this seems like a really good thing to talk about today, considering that I'm actually, right now, juggling 2 projects at the same time. I'm writing Mercenary Hearts, my serialized monthly story, cyberpunk story, and I'm also writing this other news story. And the question went a little bit like this. What do you think about the idea of juggling multiple stories at the same time? As a writer, I tend to jump back and forth between my stories to the point where I start to give up and I just can't seem to stop doing this. Any advice? So for those of you who remember, in the past, I've kind of said this thing where I was like, I don't know anybody who juggles 2 stories at the same time, and I don't mean to just come out and say that I'm a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite sometimes, not right now. I guess it depends on how you define us writing 2 stories at the same time. Because for me right now, what I'm doing is not exactly what I assume other people are doing, because it's not like I write 1 chapter of 1 story every other day. I do chunks of writing. Right now I'm writing story A, later I'll be writing story B, and then I'll just switch back and forth. I don't mix my stories when I'm in the middle of writing, but I do big chunks of writing 1 story then another, and then we just keep jumping back and forth. Now that's just a big long-winded explanation that doesn't actually mean anything. Let's actually talk about advice. In retrospect, considering now that I am actually juggling 2 stories now, I am actually doing it, I'm feeling pretty good about it, and I think that the reason why I don't feel so overwhelmed right now is mostly because of the foundations behind the way that I set up my stories. Now you may be thinking to yourselves, does this have to do with your planning guide? Are you gonna pimp your planning guide again? I could, and you should look up How to Plan Your Novel by Mr. Kirin in my channel. Why am I pointing down at the description box? I don't know. But there's something else. There's one thing that I realized really helped me, and I've been using without thinking for the last few weeks in between planning this new story and actually getting down to write, and also editing Mercenary Hearts. Now this is very closely related to the final step of the planning guide, in which I recommend that you create a writing playlist filled with not only the instrumental music that you listen to while writing, but also tracks with lyrics that remind you and kind of make you think of the world of that story. Almost, as I mentioned in the past, like the song that plays during the trailer for the movie, if you want to think about it like that, just cool tracks that make you imagine the world that you're going to be writing about. Stuff like that really helps. And that is the sort of stuff that I listen to while I'm running, while I'm just doing chores around the house, washing dishes, and I find that images of the world just jump at me. I have like a small ritual right before I get to working on a project where I put on the playlist, I pick a couple of tracks, and I just close my eyes and listen to them at my desk. And I imagine the world, and I imagine the character, and I get excited. And I know that I sound like weeb trash every time I bring this up, but anime openings are like the best thing to listen to for things like this, because you can see the characters and their emotions and doing awesome things, and you imagine them not only up here but also as they're projected on a screen, and you see them being awesome and being interesting, and you can't help but get hyped. For me, these last few weeks, like jumping in between these 2 projects, especially brainstorming one and editing another, it's been really helpful for me to just, put on that music, listen to that one song that gets me all emotional about one of the particular worlds, and just get back in there. Now, this has been all nice and cute, but I haven't actually tackled the question that was asked to me today, so let's take it from the top. I understand where this concern is coming from, where you're just working on multiple projects and you're actually physically juggling all these projects, and you start losing interest on one or the other, and then next thing you know, you don't care about any of them, and a shiny new story appears, a wild shiny new story appears, and you just have to go and chase it. I understand. That thing, I know personally, because I was doing that for years. There were years where I was just never finishing anything. Now, I'm gonna stand here as the one person who tells you finishing things is one of the most important parts of writing. You're not gonna learn as much from you can start 1,000 stories and not learn as much as finishing 1 book. Take that from somebody who started tons of books. There are tons of unfinished books that I have. And it wasn't until I finished my first one that I realized, okay, I get the process now. I understand this journey. And while I feel that this is like a really complicated situation, and there can be like 1,000 approaches to what I think my advice is for this, aside from telling you just write 1 story at a time, I'm doing 2 stories right now, so I feel like I have to kind of put myself on the foreground and then say, I think that creating something that allows you to revive the inspiration for those worlds, in my case, it's a writing playlist. A musical writing playlist with the tracks that inspire me to be reminded of that world. To me, that super helps. I don't think it's the most meaningful piece of advice that I could ever give you, but right now, I have to be honest with you and tell you what's helping me right now. I'm writing 2 projects, not at the same time, but switching in intervals, switching back and forth. What is helping me the most? Having that writing playlist has helped me tons. And the fact that it's right there on my second monitor, and I can always just play what I consider to be the main theme of either book, really helps. It absolutely completely helps. I've gone on way too long, I've talked way too much about this, just me gushing about music and writing playlists. For the time being, I want to thank you for watching. I hope that this answered your question, and I hope that if anything I gave you another point of view. For the time being, I would like you to go into the comments down below and let me know how your week has been. Do you have any writing questions, ideas for future writing prompts, or subjects that I can tackle in this particular little nook and cranny of my video blogging channel thing of sorts? And as always, thank you for watching, thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me, and I'll see you on the next one. know it makes me weave trash. I know it does. I know it makes me like anime trash to be like, find anime openings. But come on! Anime openings are so hype. Don't even argue with me. Anime openings are like the best thing to listen to get hyped for a story. So, you know what? Go down into the comments below and just like leave me your favorite anime opening of all time. Go down and do that right now. I want to see what you think. I'm leaning back. I'm not leaning back on my chair because there's actually a little cushion in the back of this chair. But I'm thinking, what is one of the hypest like anime openings of all time? And of course, you can always say Crimson and Arrow, whatever that's called, like the opening for Attack on Titan. That's a really hype opening right there. Honestly, I really like Never Say Never, which is the opening for the Danganronpa animation. That opening is solid as well. Ooh, so good, so good. But anyhow, I have to call this video. Go into the comments down below and let me know what your favorite anime opening of all time is. Weave trash unite. Yeah.